Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak, yes, Daybreak on this 19th day of August 2025. Senator Sigei, you are concluding a point about the progress that is being made in the implementation of the UD-ODM deal.
Yes, Sam, thank you once again. I was actually running our viewers and listeners on the legislation that originated from the BBI, not BBI, but NADCO report and the status as at now in our two houses. So the first ones which I had run you through were originating from the National Assembly. Yeah. Now, the other four that was set to originate from the Senate, of course, the first one is the IEBC one, which led to the creation of the commission that is now in place. Secondly, the Election Offences Amendment Act. The Senate passed this bill on the 12th of February 2025, and a communication already has been sent to the National Assembly. It is now pending in the National Assembly. The Election Amendment Bill for 2024, we also passed it on the same day, 12th of February 2025, and this one is currently pending before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, chaired by my colleague Senior Murugara in the National Assembly. Right. The other one is the statutory instruments. It's gone, it's pending in the Committee of the Whole in the National Assembly. And lastly, the one on the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2024, it was similarly conveyed on the 12th of February 2025.
So it sounds like you're doing very well.
What I'm saying, Sam, is that we are progressing on the implementation of NADCO report and its recommendation, particularly on the legislations which were proposed. Yeah. And this, I said this because I wanted to, highlight the fact that as a leader who sits in Parliament, who also have taken the time to read and participate in the proposals that came from NADCO, it is fair always to tell the Kenyans the truth on the status of this legislation.
Therefore, my question, if Parliament is already working on its own motion and succeeding, why do you need as a team?
This is the second aspect of now a response to your question. And I will urge my colleagues, because, we are very, we are known for the inability to spare time to read. Part of the reasons as to why the Zani Committee was formed is because previously, when NADCO was approved in both houses, we didn't have a secretariat. After the broad-based engagement, where we have had now the ODM and UDA MOU, it's prudent to have a joint secretariat to fast-track some of these processes. If you were to read this particular document, the rationale for the committee, Sam, and this is one of those things that I always say, we prepare to fail if we don't have a proper planning on how some
are
implemented. And therefore, the Zani Committee is expected to now highlight, for instance...
Highlight what?
Some of these bills, for instance, which I've told you right now.
The NADCO bills are in progress.
They are in progress.
Some of them are waiting action at the National Assembly, the others at the Senate. Yes. So work is going on. The speakers are there. The leaders of majority and minority are there.
Perfect.
As far as the ODM deal, you're talking about protect and strengthen devolution.
Yes.
That is the work of the Senate, isn't it?
That is the work of the Senate. And if you will allow me to highlight, for example...
Just a moment. So, I'm looking at the ODM-UDA Pact.
Yes.
The first one was full implementation of NADCO.
Yeah.
Which you're saying Parliament is already at an advanced stage.
Yes.
Inclusivity in budgetary allocations and public appointments. Who is supposed to do that?
That is a segment that either goes to the public service, for example, in the course of recruitment processes. Yeah. That is number one. In executive, in terms of certain appointments, which actually is now being implemented by the executive, particularly through the broad-based arrangement. Yes.
So already happening.
Yes.
Protect and strengthen devolution, you've agreed that is the work of the Senate.
Yes.
Economic investment in the youth, who is supposed to do that?
That is the government of the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Leadership, integrity, and end of opulence.
Sorry?
Leadership, integrity, and end of opulence.
It is also the executive, as well as now individual leaders who are required to comply with certain Article 10 provisions.
Right to peaceful assembly, compensation of all pending claims of rape victims. You formed a compensation team.
Yes.
Audit of, yet you know very well that actually the current institutions can do that, no?
Yeah.
National Human Rights Council.
That is fine. And I heard you earlier on asking this question to my colleagues. And I was a consumer of raw information yesterday from the chairperson of this committee, Professor Makau Mutua, on the
Please allow him.
I love to
Senator, don't be distracted. Make your point.
Yes.
I'm listening.
And but I want to speak to you and Kenyans. So I'm saying that I consumed that direct information by Professor Makau, who laid down point by point the fact that we have a constitution that we promulgated in 2010 towards certain achievements. It is work in progress. A child cannot be born today, begins to run tomorrow.
Okay. For sure, you must scroll.
Therefore,
first. And now,
allow me some. I want to finish this
Let me
point.
just finish this list, and then you can give your general, rather your overall comments. Audit of national debt and how it was used. I don't know if it's ZANI team to do that. Fight corruption. For sure, it's not the ZANI team. You have an EACC. And you actually passed a conflict of interest bill the other day. Stopping wastage of public resources.
Imagine.
I don't think it's the ZANI team to do that. No. The ZANI team doesn't spend...
Senator, can you donate for me 2 minutes to respond to that?
Protect sovereignty of the people, stop abductions, respect constitutionalism and the rule of law. What is ZANI team supposed to do with this?
Sam, I want you to be a Kenyan for a moment. No. Just having read that, having read that 10-point list, out of 10, how many did you acknowledge are work in progress?
It is not for me to acknowledge. I'm asking you.
How many, in your own words?
Unfortunately, I asked the questions.
In your own words, Sam. Yes, because what I want us to agree and to be fair is the fact that you have read out 10-point items out of 10, because I want that to come from your own mouth, because you have acknowledged, number one, that legislation have progressed and Parliament is doing some good work. You've equally acknowledged the fact that we now have a committee that has been set up, for instance, to deal with this aspect on compensation. You've equally acknowledged the fact that the executive has attempted to broaden the government to have everyone on board in terms of part of appointments, and I've also told you that some of these are also done by the Public Service Commission. Now, it is quite unfair for you to close by asking, do we need a ZANI committee? When, as a matter of fact, it is an ongoing process. I would say we do, because part of what Kenyans would not know, when I and Wandeto and Dr. Baraza and Mbui speak, Masara, speaks, is seen as 4 colleagues in Parliament speaking from 2 different political formations. Why? Because they are politicians. When we go ahead and seek to implement some of these things, and I would urge, this document will go actually out to the public for Kenyans to know, so that we don't just speak because we are not happy with what is going on. We are not happy with the affordable housing programs that are doing very well. We are not happy and we do not want to speak.
Okay, just a moment. If you allow me just 2 minutes to...
I'll allow you one.
Yeah. First, I want to say this. When I've realized you are really concentrating on the importance of ZANI committee. But let me ask you one thing about inclusivity. When the then deputy president was talking about shares, it was the deputy president, and there was this law and all those people you are mentioning. And they wanted only 2 tribes to rule the country. There was a government, there was a constitution, there was this commission, and it was about shareholding.
And there was a parliament.
And there was a parliament. Now, as opposition, because the government was there and people were being discriminated, we said there must be inclusivity on the way things are done in Kenya, because every person is a Kenyan. That's why we are forming a Zani commission, which the composition is both people in government and people in the opposition. This thing, let us borrow from South Africa. When Mandela was released, the first house he went to was whose house? It was Frederick de Klerk, the president who jailed him. What happened after he became the president? Frederick de Klerk was the deputy president, helped him, you can read that one, helped him to destroy laws, apartheid laws, which were discriminative. Most of the struggle in South Africa and Kenya is almost similar. So I have to do that. So check what Mandela did. This is exactly what Raila did. He was patriotic enough to put this country first so that any other thing can come when we have a country. Okay. Let me talk about also, just a moment.
No, you're mixing issues because I was really following the point of why we need an Agnes Zani team. Then you lost me with the de Klerk and then Raila Odinga.
The point I was trying to bring home, you were talking about constitutional officers, okay, which are supposed to implement this. Yeah. My question is, when people are being discriminated, were these officers, the commissions there? When a sitting deputy president, just a moment, a deputy president... Yes.
Will the Zani team correct all the ills of this country?
What we are saying...
When you have yourself sitting in parliament, do you work as a parliamentarian?
Let me tell you this. I'm telling you as a patriotic Kenyan. Even when these bad things were happening, parliament was there. And? So, you know, the world or life is not static. It is a work in progress every day. So when we realize that the parliament at a given point was captured, at a given point, parliament was captured. Mbui is very much aware when he was the leader of minority this side, even a good point which he presented to the House was being rejected simply because it was coming from
parliament
the opposition.
Was captured by who?
When opposition cannot capture parliament.
Sorry, parliament was captured by who?
By the state. Because...
Who is the state?
My friend.
Yes?
The executive. Let me say the executive. Why do I say so? The MPs who are allied to the executive, the party the ruling party, by then, were passing anything brought to them. So they were not reasoning. That's the truth of the matter. You can follow the answer in the parliament. Now, we are trying to do it in a way that apart from we working in parliament, Zani Commission is to me, is part and parcel of public participation because their finding will not be binding. Okay. It will be subjected to the normal parliament procedures.
How many members are in the Zani team?
Seven.
How many members of parliament do you have?
No,
None.
None.
No. We have members of parliament in Kenya. How many are there?
349.
349.
The National Assembly.
Yes.
416 in total.
The senators are around
416 in total.
Yeah.
So you're telling me there are 7-member team led by Agnes Zani with no constitutional responsibility. Will actually correct all the ills which 416 members of parliament have been unable to correct.
What I can tell you, they have a good will, both from the Raila and the president. So they can bring legislative which can cure the gaps we have in the country. It has happened before when we had a problem, when we have a crisis in 2007, there was parliament, there was law, but it's
only parliament that can pass legislation that has the effect of law in Kenya.
Yes, but they can be assisted.
By who?
By the commission. We usually go for public participation to include memorandum.
On that note of assistance, let's get assistance from what the president said yesterday about situation happening in Parliament. Has it transition on whether Parliament is on trial? Listen.
The latest Sokohuru in the Senate. Because you have to accept, by virtue of the position I hold today, I am a consumer of raw intelligence. I know what's going on. Where does somebody find 150 million? Where? Is that his money? That is money that belongs to the county. Is that correct or not correct? Yes. let me ask you, members of parliament who are seated here. Do you, for example, know, do you, for example, know that a few members of your committee collected 10 million shillings so that you could pass that law on anti-money laundering? Did you get the money?
Okay, so Honorable Mboye and Honorable Wandeto, I'll get to you briefly from now, but Dr. Masara, you were there?
Yes, I was there.
So how was the meeting?
Okay, the meeting was well. It progresses well until almost to the tail end, when people didn't want to hear the truth.
What truth?
The truth is, the president has mentioned, it is clear that he is a consumer of raw data. There are few people in parliament who get money from others to bring to parliament, and that money is not reaching parliament.
You say few?
Yeah, the president. I am not a consumer of raw data, but the consumer has mentioned that.
How many MPs were in attendance? Estimate?
No, over 200.
Over 200?
Yes.
So there are few members of parliament who collect money, but they don't give to their colleagues?
Yes.
Few, right?
Few. But according to the president?
Yes, but 200 members who are many, right?
Yes,
not few. They don't want to listen to the truth?
The issue is, Sam,
yeah.
When you mention members of parliament and you don't actually specify those who takes money, the blame is to all members of parliament. What we expect the president to do next, he promised to arrest those who are collecting money, because I'm sure as a consumer of raw data is able to identify them. We are expecting by next week those MPs who are collecting money and not delivering to parliament to be arrested, so that the parliament can be...
is failing to deliver to parliament.
No, the truth is, if they are not delivering and parliament is not complaining, if they are not delivering this money to parliament and parliament is not complaining, it means there are people who are going out there to get money using parliament's name.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did it end?
At the end of the day, majority of the people who don't want change felt that they were offended. Personally, as a member of parliament, I can say this country first. I'm a patriotic enough. Corruption is eating almost 30% of our revenue. If by naming members of parliament who are corrupt...
Dr. Peter Masara, how did the meeting end?
It ended like any other meeting.
Surely.
Yes.
How did it end?
It ended like any other meeting.
Yes. There was a Q&A session?
No, we decided not to do question and answer session because we are going to members of parliament. They said, no, now we are going to our Camp Kunji, because by that time we were the host of Raila Odinga, the Prime Minister, and His Excellency, the President.
They were the host.
They were the host. So we were their guest. When you are in the setting of the host and things stand the way it was, it's very difficult to ask questions because maybe you are somebody amongst yourself are going to be arrested.
So you decided there was not going to be a...
Actually, nobody even instructed the members of parliament. Everybody said, let's go for Kamkunji. We built our questions in parliament. We are parliamentarian.
They walked away.
Yes.
Did you go? Dr. Masara, you know, I don't know how you... I don't know how you see reality, but... So you're in that meeting, the hosts are Raila Odinga and President Ruto, but you decided there's not going to be a Q&A.
Yeah, but that's optional. Is it a must?
As the guests decided there's not going to be a Q&A.
Yeah, but, you know, they were expecting question from guests.
Yeah.
The guests decided they don't have question. Is that wrong?
And so what did they...
After that, we went for lunch. I took lunch, then came back to parliament.
So what did members of parliament do after that, after deciding there's not going to be Q&A?
We are going to have a Kamkunji to discuss the speech of the president.
And they stayed there?
Yes.
Sorry, and the members of parliament stayed there?
No, many stayed. Some were hurrying to their business. It was late. It was also cold. It was raining. So very few people live in Karen.
Okay, Senator Sige, what is your appreciation of facts yesterday?
Sam, allow me to just... Thank you, Sam. This is one of the documents that we were running through yesterday in the meeting.
How did the meeting end?
There were 3 agenda items.
Yeah.
You see, I am a lawyer, Sam.
I know what you're trying to do here.
And I'm not going to...
You blundered. Take it back to
I want to speak to Kenyans, including you, on what transpired. The meeting just didn't end. The meeting started. A conversation began on the approval of the agenda that was prepared for the day, including very serious issues that we discussed on the committee led by Dr. Zani, and also on the presentation by Professor Makau Mutua. Those were very important sessions, and above all, most importantly, the acknowledgement by the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga on the historic progression that we have had as a country. Starting from him, he ran us through the history, gave us countries that have some. Please allow me
Senator
to do this. You've asked me a
Senator
question.
Sige,
I want to set a basis for how the meeting ended.
Just a moment. Let me.
Honorable Raila Odinga gave us.
Let me get the discussion.
Sessions.
And countries. Senator Sige, please just follow the discussion because we need to make good use of the time that we have here. Now, what happened yesterday is that the events, the session that you attended was on live stream.
Yes.
We saw whatever you're describing.
So you don't want to listen to the rest of the good stories?
Let me set the question.
Okay.
So we saw Professor Kindiki make his speech, invite Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga came. He said all the things that he said, including NGCDF should not be in the hands of members of parliament.
Yes.
At some time he was heckled. He accused members of parliament of extortion.
Yes.
Then President Ruto came. He made his statement.
Yes.
He insisted that the Senate has become soko huru.
Yes.
Then he said, after this, I want to take a few questions.
Yes.
The stream went off.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking, how did the meeting end? He says there was no Q&A because members of parliament decided there's not going to be a Q&A.
Exactly.
And then what happened? What was the mood? What was the mood like?
Allow me also then to say, to the best that I can, for those who are listening or who are interested in listening to this conversation and this debate, after the presentation by the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga on the history that I've told you, on the countries that have failed, on the need for us to be patriotic, on the need for us to come together as Kenyans and build this country for the better of the rest of us and for the future generations. President William Ruto came, echoed much of what Raila said in terms of why did we get where we are, including the fact that we have a big problem in this country called corruption. And acknowledge the fact that in this NADCO report, corruption, when you look at the 10-point agenda, item number 3, protecting and strengthening devolution, was one of the items the president spoke to. And he said, devolution and service delivery to the people on the grassroots has been affected by corruption. Leadership and integrity was item number 5. He acknowledged the fact that corruption has affected this particular item, which we discussed, including fight against corruption, which is number 8 and number 9. That is the point where he told members of parliament now that, look, guys, we must be ready to bite the bullet and somebody must take responsibility for a number of these actions. And he said that he's a consumer of raw intelligence. Therefore, he knows what happens.
I take note that you don't want to engage on that.
And fighting corruption,
Sorry, Senator. Let me refer you to page 4 of the Daily Nation. Fallout at Ruto and Raila joint MPs meeting. And you'll find a lot of exchange that indeed members of parliament walked away. They walked out from the meeting.
I know that's where you wanted me to say. Can I then respond to you in the context of how I'm
reading
want
the
to
paper. Realizing the lack of interest, Mr. Ishungwa told the lawmakers to attend the plenary to agree on the implementation plan of the 10-point agenda, but the upset lawmakers are not bothered. He also says that some claimed, members of parliament in this case, the leaders are the ones who use money to push the agenda in parliament. Others believe the two leaders' hardline positions was possibly because they're setting the stage for a purge in the House leadership.
Yes.
Unless you have denial of those facts, I want to move to Honorable
I'm
Robert,
not Sam.
Just hold on. Robert Mbui. Let's first listen to President William Ruto talking about credibility of Parliament, because that was one of the heavy points during that session. Do you have that?
So, going forward, si tunataka tukubaliane, si we are one team. Yes, there are people who are destroying the credibility of Parliament. And they are collecting money in the name of Parliament. And some of the time, or most of the time, that money never gets to Parliament, it gets to a few people. We are not going to shame them. We are going to arrest them.
All right. So the members of Parliament are calling for name them. He says we're not going to shame them, we're going to arrest them. I'm torn between...
Sam, will you allow me to close on?
No, wait.
Okay.
Honorable Wandeto,
yes, please.
What do you make of those sentiments? Do you agree that Parliament has become sokohuru, that there are people who are taking bribes to write favorable reports?
I think, Sam, there are two sides to this conversation. The first one, I think, is the chickens are coming home to roost for Parliament. Yeah. Some of us have always complained about this very unholy relationship between the legislature and the executive. And every day, we seem to be bridging the gap and consummating what is an otherwise very unconstitutional marriage. We've always talked about executive capture in Parliament, and where the executive now seems to be driving the agenda of Parliament. Now, why I'm saying the chickens have come home to roost is that Parliament is now so weakened. It has now been pushed to a corner, and now it is up for whipping. Mm. This is the doing of Parliament. And that is why, Sam, the Standard has captured this very, very well. Mm. And it is the leaders of Parliament, both speakers, who have now to lead a redemption mission for Parliament. Parliament requires some serious redemption. However, Sam, coming specifically to the issues the President is raising, I have two perspectives to this. First of all, I don't think we should be going into what I would call a blanket condemnation. Mm. We cannot throw the baby with the bathwater. I know there are good legislators who work very hard. There are good senators who work very hard for their people. I personally believe in leadership, integrity. I work to the best of my knowledge for the people of Tetu. But we also know, just like the fabric of the country, there are rotten apples in every sphere of this country. But the second perspective, Sam, about this is, I don't know whether the people talking about corruption in that clip are necessarily qualified to talk about corruption.
What do you mean with that?
And some, we possibly need to have a whole show dedicated to discussing who can authoritatively talk about corruption in this country and who cannot. That one requires a separate show. So allow me not to.
You know what you're saying can have two meanings, yeah?
Yeah.
That one can speak as a point of authority, or one can speak from a point of morality.
I would probably go for the second one, a point of morality. And we don't want to have a situation whereby, is the kettle calling is the pot calling the kettle black?
What are you saying?
Sam, as much as we have challenges in Parliament, we have bigger challenges in the executive. Mm-hmm. Corruption is a national issue. For me, while I agree that there should be no corruption anywhere, I find it suspect, this singling out of Parliament that has started last week. Last week, I attended the devolution conference in Homa Bay, and this is where this conversation had started a week earlier. Then last week, the President was at Homa Bay, and he again buttressed this information. The former Prime Minister talked about this whole information, and there are two agendas that are coming in here. First of all, to allege Parliament as a house of bribery. Number two, it is going on in tandem with the conversation about removing certain funds, especially CDF fund and the constituency roads fund, from Parliament. And I further see this as putting Parliament to the corner. However, my point was the executive right now, or the people talking about this, are the least qualified. In fact, I invite them to read this morning, to read Matthew chapter 7, verses 3 to 5. Yeah, the words of Jesus Christ. I will not read for them. It is for them to go and read for themselves.
Help us. There are people who don't know how to find.
Or if they don't have the Bible, Jesus talked about the person who is always seeing the speck in his brother's eye. Yet he has a log inside his own eye. So, Sam, here we have a very serious conversation. However, I acknowledge there is some reform that needs to be done in Parliament. We need to reclaim our independence, but with the current, some of the things I see in Parliament, whereby it's more or less an extension of an executive choir. Bad bills are brought to Parliament. People, opposing voices are not given an opportunity to speak, and these things do happen, Sam.
And members of Parliament still pass those bills independently. You know,
Sam, Parliament is about voting. Okay? They say the majority have their say, the minority have their... the majority have their way, the minority have their say. I could stand up and oppose...
That's what I'm asking.
And oppose a bill, but if a choir has already been organized, it will still pass the bill. And that is how the country works.
Do members of Parliament pose to pass by majority out of their own conscience, or there's some pressure of whatever kind?
There is a lot of pressure, Sam.
Including financial?
Possibly.
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 Okay.
There is a lot of pressure.
Okay.
There's what people, when you hear something is a government bill, hell or high water, it has to be passed, however unpalatable it is. And there's a whole system that has been created, how that is achieved. And this is the things we are trying to say. At what point will we allow parliamentarians to vote with their conscience? And that is the redemption we are asking the speakers of both houses of Parliament to lead. It is long overdue.
Now, Mheshimiwa Mbui, you're part of the leadership of the House. First, I didn't see you at the meeting yesterday.
Sam, I also want to qualify, I wasn't there.
And you come from UDA.
And I come from UDA.
So you were
because
not invited or what? Why didn't you go?
No, I received a message. First of all, we were all removed from the WhatsApp groups where this communication is done. But however, I received a message from a number, I think, associated with the Majority Whip, Honorable Soro.
A number associated, sure.
Yeah, because it is not his number, I have his number.
Okay.
So, but I believe probably it's him or his office people who are writing.
Yeah.
But some of us have decided not to proceed with this unholy alliance. So we can't be part of this.
Okay, Mheshimiwa Mbui, so if indeed there's corruption in Parliament, that there are welfare chairpersons who get resources for members of committees to pass certain motions or certain decisions, how does it manifest?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. First, let me just say that when we are doing these shows, I think Sige should come alone. Because Senator Sige will spend an hour making a point that he can make in actually a minute or two. Because he's taken us round in circles and taken away all our time. But then on this matter, I think it's important to note that, yes, there are two ways by which members are coerced. One is through intimidation, and I do believe that there is definitely money that changes hands to influence decisions that are done on the floor of the House. And somehow say this, it's not a new phenomenon. It's always been there. It's been there from the time I was elected. I've seen that happen over the years. And I'll tell you, for you to know that this thing is real, you look at a situation where members of Parliament, someone is elected, and is elected as a member of Azimio political party, and within a week of the announcement of a new president, he's already going to State House, totally against the party that brought him to the House. Again, many times you see people voting in support of motions that their own constituents are totally against, like the finance bill of 2023. I mean, that was a time when we are grappling with the high cost of living, and Kenyans were out in the streets with sufurias on their heads. But then there were members who were very comfortable saying that we are passing this thing that was going to, deal a very deadly blow on the cost of living and on, disposable income of Kenyans. And the tax regime was actually going to mess us up, all of us. But despite the general public's, clear indication that they were not in support, members still voted in its support on the floor of the House. So basically, there are those that are coerced because they're intimidated, they'll be thrown out of committees, but there's also a change of, money changes hands. Sam, I said it's not a phenomenon that is unique to this parliament. I was in the 11th parliament from 2013 to 2017. And in that parliament, we actually, as members of parliament, disbanded the Budget and Appropriations Committee on allegations of inappropriate action by the members of that committee. We also disbanded the Public Accounts Committee, then chaired by the Honorable Ababu Namwamba. Right. And it was on the same allegations that money, they were extorting money from witnesses that were coming, and people that had been named by the Auditor General. So basically, this phenomena has been there. Last Parliament, you remember the Honorable Fatuma Gedi talked about brown envelopes changing hands in the toilets. So it's not a unique phenomenon. It's something that's been around for a while. And the president was a deputy president all that period that I was in parliament seeing this happening. Yep. I don't know why suddenly now he's seen the light and suddenly he's saying parliament is corrupt. Just recently, we had this impeachment motion against the former deputy president. And money did change hands. People were paid to sign.
How much was it?
100, 200,000.
For the signature?
Yes, for the signature. And those who voted were also given money. This is 100, 200,000. There are many members who actually got money. So the only thing is that they will not agree to it, but we know that they were given money.
Signature was 100 to 200,000.
Yes, actually, the signature was 100,000. But some members were clever. They signed at the majority leader's office and went to the minority leader's office and signed again, so they got twice. But all the same, what I'm saying is that actually money did change hands. Some of these things that we are pretending are real. And sometimes, like Honorable Senator Sigea said, let's be honest, it is true that money does change hands in Parliament. But now, I think what has happened, where the problem is that the decisions that have been, through coercion and bribery, that have been taken by members of Parliament in this current 13th Parliament have been very unpopular with the populace. And so very many of them are highly unpopular right now. And I'll tell you some that even these empowerment programs, some of them are being used to be able to take members to their constituents because they couldn't even get there because of the problem that this coercion and this bribery has caused on them. Because so
the empowerment is for the MP?
Is to make them be able, some of it is to make these members go back to their constituencies. Yeah. Because after the 2023 and 2024 finance bill, remember what happened in Moranga after the 2023 finance bill? When members even went and said, no, this is not what we passed. But we on the floor of the House told them, this thing is going to hurt your people. And they refused to listen. Okay. So some now what I was saying is this, that after, what I'm reading in all this is that the president is aware that he has made a lot of his members of parliament extremely unpopular. And that, some of them, their re-election chances are very low. Yeah. So what does he do? He throws them under the bus. This is something he's done in the past. In 2024, when the Gen Zs go to the streets, he threw them under the bus when he threw away the bill and pretended that he's listened to the people. Yet the voters, the voters in the floor who are members of parliament were also listening, but they couldn't take the right decision. So he's throwing members under the bus by calling them corrupt, so that he can now start maybe winning those that are opposing them in their constituencies. That is what he's doing. That is definitely a game plan for the current president, so that he can have people that support him in the next election.
Sorry, I'll get to you, Dr. Masara. But Mheshimiwa, you said that signature was 100 to 200,000. Sure. To impeach, what was the range?
No, the vote, I think after you vote, there was some money also that was changing hands.
Because yesterday I was told about 10 million shillings for Senate.
Wow, that's no, I don't think National Assembly, they are that expensive. The rates are lower. The rates are much lower.
Sorry,
it is one.
Okay, sure. I'll get to you, Senator and Dr. Masara. Let's listen to the Senator of Isiolo, because she recently spoke passionately during the impeachment of Abdi Guyo, the governor of Isiolo, an impeachment the Senate voted to defeat on a question of procedure. Watch.
We know each other, and I know what transpired even 30 minutes ago. And I think it's good the public know what happened, and Isiolo people know what happened. Mr. Speaker, Soko Huru is taking over this house. And I must say this. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
You cannot impute improper motive on your colleagues. If you want to proceed in that manner, you know what to do. Substantive motions.
Improper what?
Improper motive.
Improper motive against your colleagues.
Yes.
She cannot do that according to Speaker Kingi. But the president has said as much. That it's Sokohuru. He has gone ahead and put a figure to it, 150 million shillings.
Yes.
I do not know, for the sake of clarity, I do not know whether the 150 million shillings being spoken about by the president are the same as the Sokohuru being spoken about by Fatma Dulo. But you sit at the Senate.
Yes, I do.
What are the facts?
Well, the president yesterday, and I'm very happy the president spoke about it, because the moment the president of the republic speaks about corruption in the manner and the tone that he did yesterday, it tells us that we need to change the way we do these things. And therefore, the comments he made yesterday and the statement made by my colleagues in Tadulo, and by the way, I was in the House that day because it was an ongoing motion.
Yeah.
And the president went ahead and said that I'm a consumer of raw intelligence. He has said it. I am not, unfortunately. So I do not know. He probably knows I don't know. What I would say is this. I voted to impeach Governor Guyo myself because the allegations that were against him, to me, were sufficiently proved to warrant an impeachment. Of course, as we say, the stupidity of democracy is that the majority will have their way, the minority will have their say. As to whether or not then 150 million change hands, well, it's something that's out there. If indeed it happened, the president said yesterday, we're going to arrest them, and so we shall wait and see. From where I sit, myself,
I mean,
myself, and probably those close people I know, I can attest to the fact that we did not get to that amount of 150 million, or we received, whether it's 10 million or whatever amount.
You didn't get to that amount?
I did not get it myself, yes. And probably also the cycle of the people I know. You know your friends. I know Wandeto here as a colleague sitting in the National Assembly. In the Senate, I would speak for myself and say, look, if the president is a consumer of raw data and raw intelligence, I will not want to go beyond that because I'm not a consumer of that bit. But I want to say I did not get that money. But
was there a narrative that money was exchanging hands?
Yeah, of course, my colleague actually alleged that on the floor. That's why the speaker told her.
Fatma Dulo?
Yes. Yeah, actually she did that.
No, beyond Fatma Dulo, did you hear senators speaking of receiving money?
We had we had conversations about it. We had conversations about what yesterday now my colleague, Honorable Junaid Mohammed, and the leader of majority were saying. In the context of bribery claims in Parliament, it is unfair and unfortunate to condemn the entirety of the House. Otherwise, I chair a committee, and I chair a committee. In my committee, I do not have a welfare chairperson. We've got the chairperson of Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights Committee. That's myself.
Maybe you don't know.
We do not.
Maybe you don't know.
I would know from my stakeholders.
No, the president said that their members will go and get money, but they never deliver to the members. You might be one of those unfortunate...
He's the chair of the welfare committee.
I just want to say I do not have a welfare chairperson. I'm not the chairperson, but I'm a chairman of a committee.
I'm imputing proper motive on a colleague.
And therefore, no, it's okay, because as I said, we need to be very candid in this conversation because corruption is killing Kenyans. Us in the Senate, we fight. Yesterday and every other day, we always say we fight to enhance the money that goes on to the county governments.
Yeah.
But the projects that we see and visible, for that matter, quality projects done are on the CDF money, none from the county government allocation of resources. And it is because of corruption.
Okay.
So it is conversation.
That's okay. Let me hear from Dr. Masara, because he's been quiet for a moment. Dr. Masara.
Yes.
Your take about this allegation of bribery, because here the president is saying there's someone who went for money, got 10 million. Then he asked, did it get to you?
We say no.
Yeah?
I didn't receive. And I want that person to be named so that I can collect mine. Because now it is official.
But it's a bribe. Why would you want?
No, got a bribe.
It's no longer bribe now. If somebody went to wherever I took the money and used my name to get that money and is arrested, I'll go to court and demand for my share.
You go to court to demand a share
Yes.
bribe.
I want that money back to me so that I can return it to central bank.
Where does it have to come through you? You just go to the
No, I want to be clean. You know, Sam,
Yeah.
I'm so surprised by my brother and leader Mbui.
Yeah.
If Mbui was aware, and he's my friend, we usually meet at the health club. If people were signing and given 100, why didn't you tell me to take that 100? Because personally, I signed and voted so that the former deputy president to be impeached because of one reason. One, he was dividing the country. Two, he was talking about shares. And the shares of this country were given to every individual who was born, who acquired.
But are you concerned that actually there's a possibility your colleagues received money to sign and eventually...
No, that's why the NADCO report is talking about limiting what is called corruption. That's why when these people were getting money, the anti-corruption was functional. Every other person was functional, but this money was still being taken. That's why I want Zani committee. That's why I want Zani committee.
Surely, Zani will not come to parliament.
No. We you know, with the commissioners of IBC, we cannot have a plenary where we can give them our views.
The question I'm asking is, Mheshimiwa Dr. Masara, are you concerned that your colleagues might actually be taking money?
Not only my colleague, I'm concerned about corruption in Kenya.
No, please stop.
These MPs are Kenyans. We should not take MPs as outsiders. All of us as patriotic Kenya should be concerned about the level of corruption in this country. And I'm very happy.
So how do you cause change?
I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
If you look candidly at the body language of the president yesterday, he's fed up with corruption. Somebody was talking of those who are dirty. My friend, when it comes to issue of faith, Jesus himself met a woman at a well. That woman was a prostitute. But because he confessed her sin, her name was written in the Bible. Somebody was yesterday a sinner. Today can be somebody clean.
A saint.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Anybody. But what my concern is where the corruption level has reached in Kenya. I'm happy that number one, the consumer of intelligent, raw intelligence is going to arrest people. I'm very happy, man.
But you know he can't.
No, he'll arrest.
He can't.
If yesterday he can't.
No power to arrest.
Let me tell you why I'm telling you he's going to arrest. If you look at William Ruto, the deputy president, was very popular with MPs. But if you were there yesterday, or you have been watching William Ruto of today and telling MPs, actually at a given point, actually you are very selective. There's a point where Raila and Ruto talked of even if they are going to carry the cross, even if it means one term, but they must change the face of this country. They gave us example of Singapore and Malaysia. It's not about they got money from heaven. It was about leadership. Yep. And at a given point, some leaders decided to change the path. We have been walking this path from 1960. Yeah. Now, if the president has said this time around is going to arrest, the best we can do is to support him.
And after that...
And believe and give him benefit of doubt.
And after that, there was a joint communique.
A joint communique. Can we clear about is communicate part of corruption?
No, I'm asking
it is not. Let us, you have advised us, colleague.
You're describing it yourself.
Personally, I was there until the end, and even I took tea.
And lunch.
And there was a joint communique?
Yes.
By who?
Yeah. By the people concerned. I was not part of it.
The leaders.
So who spoke?
Okay,
let us be very honest. I'm begging you.
Dr. Masara, let's listen to...
I'm begging you for only 2 minutes.
The chairperson of the Council of Governors, also the governor of Wajir, Abdullahi, speaking during the devolution conference in Homa Bay.
My colleague from Garissa usually says being a governor is like working in a landmine. You have to buy your piece at every level. I don't think that is what devolution was meant to be, Your Excellency.
The operating word here is buying your peace at every level. It is rather unfortunate if this is what is happening.
Why do you have to pay?
The management of
Why do you have to pay for that peace? If you are clean, why do you give money? If you are clean, why do you give money?
Okay.
We are telling our governors that they must be clean. Let them perform their duties to the people. If you compare the kind of money being taken to the Vol unit, 415 billion, and 50-something billion is being given to NGCDF. And if you do today's survey, the services given to public through NGCDF and those one through devolution, you can't compare. You can't compare. I'm a member of parliament, and I'm going to be the governor of Migori come 2027. So we want the devolution to be strengthened, so that when I become a governor, I don't take money to be clean.
Dr. Masara,
I want a structure. I want a system.
And I want to take a look at the feedback that has come to us.
A structure where I don't take 150 billion to be clean.
Is citizen daybreak. Dr. Masari, you cannot campaign here. Let's take a look at the feedback. Frank Orinde, Parliament is under state capture. Legislators are no longer voices of the people, but hostages of the state, whipped to toe the line, right or wrong. Democracy bleeds when oversight becomes obedience. Bob Otieno, the UDA-ODM first parliamentary group meeting was for political interests, not for Kenyans. If they didn't have interests, why didn't they crack the whip against corrupt leaders at the meeting? Lekishon Laban, this "we are uniting the country" politics is outdated. Who divided Kenyans? When and why? We know Raila is just used as Ruto's political life jacket. Kenyans want jobs, food, fair education funding, not political committees. President Ruto must get serious. That's Lekishon. J. Musoma, UDA-ODM MOU, NADCO report, 10-point agenda, and the so-called Mutua Macau Zani Commission are baseless activities with no legality. Ruto and Raila don't have monopoly of knowledge. What if Kalonzo Gachagua team or Gen Zs meet with the other MPs and draft theirs? Silva, you're saying MPs have turned into puppets of the executive when bribes come from State House. It's okay. Yet these same corrupt individuals need cash to fly choppers and buy votes in the name of empowerment. The real question is, where do these people get the funds from? Now, 30 seconds each in closing, starting with you, Senator Sigei.
Let us fight corruption no matter the status of an individual in this country. If all of us agree that the cancer that is killing this country is corruption, let us join the queue, let us name them, let us shame them, let us arrest them, let them pay back what they have taken from the people of Kenya. That way, we will have a better Kenya for the rest of us. And I support the fight against corruption, no matter the status of an individual, whether it's a president, deputy president, or members of parliament, because this is the beginning of the desire to change this country. Right. And we can only do so if we take the bullet if we bite the bullet as members of parliament who've now been accused and the rest of us Kenyans.
Okay. Thank you.
We have enough laws in this country to do the right thing. What we lack is political goodwill. And I think instead of taking Kenyans in this endless roundabout of more and more committees, I think what we need to do is to rediscover the soul of the country, the spirit of the Constitution, and draw a line and start doing the right thing for Kenya. As long as all decisions are sacrificed at the altar of political expediency, 2027 politics, I think we are going nowhere. I urge this government for the remaining 2 years of its life to try and at least for once talk less and do a little more, serving Kenyans. Thank you.
All right, Mheshimiwa Mbwe.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. I think this regime has shown total disrespect for Parliament, even in the appointment of this Makau Mutua committee, because they've shown disrespect not only just to Parliament, but also to other institutions of the government. And I think with that kind of, that kind of action, they have declared war on us. And I think I would like to appeal to my colleagues to help us make them serve only one term.
Okay.
Can I?
Dr. Masara, without campaigning,
thank you. What I'm saying that I love the way the debate is taking shape. Every Kenyan is agreeing that corruption is killing our country. What we need is to be patriotic enough so that when you are asked for bribe, repayment later on. 2, let us support the government of the day so that they can deliver their mandate. But personally, as a representative of the people, I'll support the government where the agenda is pro the people. I'll question the government where they go wrong.
Yeah.
And finally, what I want to say is that nobody is perfect, but people can be perfected.
Okay.
We have leaders who failed, but those who can listen and change their way. So Kenyans, let us change our way, because we have only one country called Kenya.
Yep. Okay.
Only one country called Kenya.
You've given a very loaded statement. Don't give money, then lament later on.
Yes. If you are clean and somebody is asking you for 150 million, accept to give. Report to ACC that somebody wants to take money from me. That person will be arrested. You shall have saved us the story. Why do you are dirty? You are buying your freedom. Then you are saying you are being forced to give money.
Okay.
And those who are giving money, because if members of parliament are being given money, those are bringing this money. Why are they bringing this money? What is it meant for?
Okay. Those are the questions I was asking about Dr. Peter Masara. But you decided to give me different answers. Thank you so much, Dr. Peter Masara from Tuna West, Robert Mbui from Kathiani constituency, and of course, Geoffrey Wandeto from Tetu constituency, and then Senator Hilary Sigei from Bomet County. Thank you so much for making time for us. And we continue to understand what exactly transpired at the UDA ODM parliamentary group meeting yesterday. So much more will be coming on Citizen TV later on. My name is Sam Gituku. See you again some other time. Bye for now.